Hey guys, this is London Gabraelle from London the Band, and you're listening to Collision Radio.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm really good. You'll have to excuse my voice. I'm a little bit croaky today, but yeah, we had a big show on the weekend, which was fun, and still just recovering a little bit from some damage I did to my throat right before the Arch Enemy gig.
Right.
So
Arch Enemy gig.
Yeah, we supported Arch Enemy a little while ago, which was really awesome. It was a sold-out show, so that was exciting. But I had done some damage to my throat, so it was a bit of a challenge, and I'm still just coming through that at the minute. So after shows, I'm not doing a huge amount of talking unless I have to.
Right. Can I ask then, how long since you've been in a band?
Well, I've always been doing little bits and pieces, with DW and his various projects and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's probably been, 2008 was when we were doing White Cell with Housing Noise and all of that, and that's actually how I met DW.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, I got involved in the tail end of what was Fault Line Records, and we did a little bit of work together with things through them and touring and whatnot, but nothing of my own.
Mm-hmm.
And, we talked about it for a long time and had a lot of intention of putting a record together, but I found that there were just various things that just didn't want to quite come together, and it started to come together, maybe 18 months, 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I was just kind of working on the sound and making sure what we were putting together really kind of captivated, both of our loves for sound as it is today,
mm-hmm.
Which is still a little bit old school for most people. Like, it's not necessarily what all the young kids are listening to. There's that new metal element, and it's definitely got that heisty bounce in some tracks. And then it's got that, big kind of pop sound as well.
Yeah.
So it's very, I don't know, I'm hoping it'll be perceived as very different. Sunlight we released just the other week, which was phenomenal. Like, we had a really good response considering, no one knows who I am or what I do up until now. So I think we hit 1,000 views in about 3 hours on Facebook with no boosting. They actually won't allow us to boost because apparently the video is a bit too risque.
Oh, God. Oh, Facebook.
So, that was a little bit punishing, I mean, I had been warned before, you got to keep things very covered up and whatnot. And we've got Stephen from Horrorwood in our lineup, which is really exciting for me because I love Horrorwood, massive fan. And he said to me, he's gone, yeah, even with Horrorwood videos, we get the same thing. It's, and that'll just be for the gore factor. So
yeah, awesome. I actually was working with Horrorwood Mannequins last year as their publicist.
Oh, they're fantastic boys. It's rather ironic that we've ended up in a band together because I think it was out on the Raise Hell tour. Steve and I had this massive blow up after a show, and I just thought, I can't stand that guy. It was ridiculous because the first time we met, we were talking to the wee hours of the morning. We just get along so well, but we're very much like family, Stephen and I, and DW, of course, obviously I know him rather well.
Yeah.
And we've got Matt Ellis on drums. Mm-hmm. He's phenomenal. He's such a lovely dude. And we've got Kim Roberts playing bass. It's been a while, I think, for her too. But she was in a band called Driverside many years ago that did all right. But so that's kind of
must be nice having another girl in the rehearsal studios.
It is. Like, you kind of get a little bit exhausted of the jokes at times, but no, I mean, we're all pretty chilled out humans, and that's sort of what's really kind of stuck this project together, aside from the sound, is finally having that lineup, where there's no drama and there's no chaos and everyone gets along really well, and we get into rehearsal and we just get stuck straight into the set, and it's nice to be able to pull all of that together. So we're pumped to promote Sunlight and get these shows happening, get out there. The album, I think, will come out early next year, is the feeling that I'm getting off DW. He thinks it'll be early 2019, and that's Death is an Illusion.
Right.
We're just tidying up probably the last couple of tracks that'll go on that at the moment. We were tracking last night, which is always a bit of fun. It just gets heavier and heavier with him as you go along. Though you walk into the studio and you hit play, and then you just burst out laughing. The sound is ridiculous. It's so massive. So trying to blend that in with the pop vocal, because that's kind of what we do, is we've got those heavy fat verses and then, like a bright pop chorus, and yeah, so.
So are you and DW writing the lyrics and that together, or are you doing the lyrics?
No, I do that myself, although we do kind of cross over every now and again. Like, there's a couple of Rifleman tracks that I co-wrote, and he's added a line in here or there, or a word here or there, but no, I've written my own melodies and lyrics for, this project and the last couple.
Yeah, because speaking of DW, of course, he is not only your husband, but he is the manager, producer behind the London, the band.
Essentially, we do have a couple of hands and brains behind us.
Right.
But he's definitely that driving force that he's always been with Superheist and that sort of thing. Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic. I'd like to tell you that it's easy. But what I will say is it's exciting. And I think one of the things that drew me to him as a human in the very beginning and the outset is he's just so very frank and upfront about the quality of something.
Yeah.
And making sure that what you're doing is really 110% your best effort, and worth a good listen.
Yeah.
I remember back in 2008 when we met, I was standing in the vocal booth, this is my first crack. And, it was a great album, but again, totally different and from a million years ago now. And I just remember hearing him press the button and the voice come through the booth, and he goes, "I thought you said you could sing harmonies." Like, he can be really kind of confrontational, but constantly challenging and saying, look, you can do better than this, and really he's fantastic at honing, your true intentions in a sound, which is great. Yeah, it's really good.
Well, speaking of DW and Superheist, the film clip that you've got out for Sunlight, it's a pretty awesome film clip, but it does, to me, have slight memories of the 7 Years film clip. Is the guy...
Oh, really?
Yeah. Is the guy who worked on that involved in this one, or? No,
not at all. I'm not sure who that would have been way back when. Obviously, that was long before DW and I knew each other. The guy that shot the Sunlight video is actually Brian Cox from Flarelight Films in Los Angeles.
Right.
So he's done a couple of videos for us. He shot Tiamo, which you won't probably see. I don't know when that's coming out, but it's definitely not that guy. That would have been a really long time ago. Right. But I guess it's probably more than likely to do with DW's influence visually.
Yeah.
He definitely has a strong idea of what he likes. And for me, I wanted to keep it all really pretty and pastel-like and whatnot, because metal is so typically, brooding and heavy and dark. And, so we thought we'd chuck some of those elements. And we lived on the beach for the longest time. So we wanted to infuse it with a sense of home and that sort of thing. And then the gothic occult kind of vibe that just rings through the whole of the London project, and then the Death is an Illusion album. But yeah, no, that's an interesting one. I haven't heard that before. I'll ask him for you who did that video. I'm not sure.
It also has like elements not elements, but it reminds you slightly of people like 9 Inch Nails and Marilyn Manson and that. It's kind of like you've got this really pretty voice, and then you're surrounded by heavy, dirty drums and music and visuals.
Absolutely. And that's in terms of lifelong influences and childhood influences, really. In fact, Marilyn Manson was the last time I was on radio. I interviewed Marilyn Manson for Triple M with Turbo when I was 16.
I'm so jealous.
And you know what? He's such a babe. Like, he's such a really lovely dude.
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough to meet Dieter at the time, which was also really cool. But I absolutely, and that's a massive compliment that you can kind of see that either visually or in the sound, because I love Marilyn Manson. He's been a huge influence on my sound. When I was younger, it was kind of my ambition to grow up and be John Davis. Whilst, it's highly ridiculous, like obviously I'm never going to be John Davis, I love Korn. I love Manson. I love 9 Inch Nails, Mudvayne, Slipknot. Another big one was A Perfect Circle for me.
Right, yeah.
So all that kind of era, and then coming into now, the pop elements that are coming through now with heavy sound. You've got Amity Affliction, which is just doing an awesome job, even though they've been slaughtered in their reviews on their recent album.
Mm-hmm.
And another big one, Bring Me the Horizon.
Oh, yeah.
People tend to go either which way with them, but I really love them. So, yeah, it's heavy still where we're at, absolutely.
Yeah. And well, harking back to the start of the interview where you were talking about looking after your voice and doing shows, you actually, and I totally missed that you were involved in this. In Melbourne last weekend, you played in the Psycho Circus. You actually were second headline.
Yeah, which is really awesome, and I'm super grateful to Jessie from Dark Cell and the boys for having us along. They're wicked. And I'm just being able to check out some of those other local acts that are really coming along. It was actually like a totally unusual but really awesome night. It started off with a wedding. I mean, that's not a usual metal show for sure.
No.
But somebody got married at the show, and then by the end of the evening, there were cops out the front. So it was kind of usual heavy metal rock and roll in that regard. But yeah, it was an interesting night. I got to catch up with Housey, also doing his new thing with Coffin Carousel and some other people. So that's fun. And we're taking that, obviously, they've been kind enough to let us come and play with them at the Brisbane Psycho Circus, which is September 8th at the Zoo.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It'd be awesome to see people out at that one. And I think the doors are something like 4 p.m. It's a long day, but it's a good one.
Yeah. And so definitely people around Brisbane or travelling to Brisbane or who could travel to Brisbane should go to the Zoo on the 8th of September to check you out at the Psycho Circus.
Come check us out. Come check everyone out. It's going to be a crazy night, especially if Melbourne was anything to go off. And it's, going to be fun.
And if anyone wants to get married, there's an opening at the
Well, absolutely. There's no issues with getting as long as there's no police at the end like there was at the Melbourne show.
Luckily, 90% of the time when I've been at a gig that's had the police come, it's because of someone's had a medical issue rather than a fight.
Well, I mean, yes, there's that. I think in this incident it was just that someone had slipped and they'd hit their head rather badly, and it looked
a lot of the time
worse than it was. Yeah,
a lot of the time the police show up because something's happened to someone rather than a fight happening. So people shouldn't be scared to go just because the police might show up.
No,
unless they're clumsy.
Honestly, you probably feel safer in Melbourne, given that there's always that there.
Yeah. Yeah. So then the future for London, the band, other than, like you said, you're planning the album to come out next year. I assume you will have one more single probably come out this year, but what about touring plans and future plans once the album's released? Well,
look, I guess we're going to get our straps up locally. You know, I mean, kind of being new kids on the block, we just need to do the runs. I think it's really important to do that. I need to build back my vocal strength. In terms of promoting the forthcoming album, we'll just see what presents itself. You know, like DW's always got a million ideas and plans, and you probably know better than I do. But for me, certainly it's just about getting the show ripping and taking that on the road and, you know, seeing what people think about it, how they dig it and whatnot.
Yeah. And I will say people should definitely go and check out London the Band Official on Facebook. Yeah, facebook.com/London the Band Official.
Totally. You'll find us on Instagram as well, which has got a teaser of the Sunlight video. And then, of course, you can watch the full-length Sunlight video through the Superheist channel on YouTube.
Superheist TV on YouTube is carrying London.
It is, yeah. We did try and set up a London YouTube, but the technical side of stuff sometimes gets past us. So we just threw it up on there, and it's definitely, it's a good one to check out.
Because London, like, you're not London the band. Your name is London, and that is your name.
Well, it is, but we definitely identify as a band it's certainly not a solo project. You know, it's a band sound, it's a band culture, and, you know, I kind of sit as the front of that, I suppose, being the vocalist. But yeah, I mean, a huge part of it is DW, and a huge part of it is that, you know, that body of energy that comes together with Steeden and Maddie and Kim and DW and I. So yeah.
Yeah, awesome. And we look forward to more. So do you know when we might see the next single?
I'm not 100% sure on that one. Do you know when we might be doing the next one? Couple months. At the moment, it's kind of trying to figure out which that would be. Strangely, Sunlight is it's not even in the top 3 now for me personally on the record.
Right.
So the sound is definitely, you know, has transcended that. and it's bolder and bigger again. So I'm not sure which way we'll go with it. There's a couple of tracks in there, like could be Atticus, could be a number of tracks. So we'll see. And then of course we're still going. Like DW's got this crazy habit of dropping a track in about 3 hours, in the evening after work, and going, here you go, do something with it now, please, now.
Oh.
So they come hard and fast, and you just got to move with it.
Yeah.
So we're working on a track last night called Roots and Roses. So that may well be the next video. I don't know.
Awesome. The debut album's going to be an evolution of London.
Well, yeah, it is. I guess it's kind of honing that sound and finding what works. There's a lot of old school elements in there, and then there's stuff that's probably more in keeping with today, and certainly that pop vein. And then having, I always wanted to be in a project with female and male vocals. We did that a bit, of course, on DW's Rifleman in Seven Summits and a couple of his other tracks. But doing that in a heavier sense, that was something I always wanted to play with. So it's nice to be able to do that, and I think it'll highlight, probably what our strengths are in terms of that sound.
Yeah, it's all exciting, and look forward to hearing more and seeing more of you. And I'm sorry I missed you last weekend, but people in Brisbane can still see you on the 8th of September, and it is facebook.com/London the Band official, or just type in London the Band and you will find them. And it's been great talking to you. Thank you so much. I look forward to
you
chatting
too, Kat. I really appreciate you having me, and I hope to catch up with you soon. I'd definitely love to hear what you think of the rest of the album. That'd be ace.
Yeah, well, I've been waiting since I spoke to DW. I've been excitedly waiting for something to come out from London the Band, and it's great to catch up and look forward to seeing a lot more of you.
Awesome, Kat.
Thanks.
Enjoy your afternoon. See ya.
You too. Bye.
Bye.